Khash Saghafi, Liberty Home Mortgage. This topic right now, how many times does my credit get checked? Okay, something that a lot of people are very big on and very afraid of, especially today just because of the information age, is how often are you pulling my credit? Like how many times does my credit get pulled? Because I don't want my credit just pulled randomly. It hurts my credit, whatever. First of all, does a credit pull hurt your score? Yes, it does, okay? Every time your credit gets pulled, and we could debate over there's different aspects and guidelines, but at the very least, the first time it gets pulled, it drops the score 2 to 5 points. The Fair Isaac Corporation, who invented credit scoring years ago, did a study. I actually think it was Equifax that did this back in like 2009, that they reviewed the credit histories of people who declared bankruptcy. And in leading up to the bankruptcy, in the 12 months preceding the bankruptcy or before the bankruptcy occurred, people who went bankrupt had their credit pulled 8 times more than people who did not go bankrupt. So naturally, if you're about to go bankrupt, and by the way, in my history of this job, I faced bankruptcy 2 times. I didn't declare bankruptcy, not quite honestly that makes me a better person or a less of a person, but I almost went bankrupt twice. You run your own business for a quarter of a century, trust me, you're gonna run into some stuff. Anyways, you trust me, when I was looking at possibly going bankrupt, I was applying for credit from anybody who would give me money, okay? So that's why my credit was pulled a lot more. That's why credit pull, it does lower your score, but of all of the things that affects your credit score adversely or negatively, the credit pull is the least, okay? You gotta make sure you're doing other things, but when you're going for a mortgage loan, how many times does it get pulled? Here's the bottom line. If you wanna see if you qualify, period, end of story, okay? You've got to get each credit bureau, all 3 of them, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, they all have to be pulled, and it's got to be a hard pull, okay? You want to sit here and there's a lot of companies out there today, the latest craze in the mortgage industry is the soft credit pull. It has no effect on your score. The problems with that are many, okay? One is the score is not always accurate. So that means that whatever score I, the loan officer, am looking at and trying to determine if I can give you this loan, that score is not necessarily accurate. And I'll tell you what, I can give you a loan right now. It's sitting in my head. This was in 2015, March of 2015. The customer had a 675 credit score, looked like a fairly easy deal. I couldn't get him approved at 675. We had to have him pay down some credit cards and do things like that. We bumped his score. His score went all the way up to 679, 4 points. And that 4-point swing was the difference between not approved and approved. We did his loan at 679. So believe it or not, even the smallest difference, but keep in mind, this is coming from somebody with experience. I've done this for, as of right now, 24 years, coming up to 25 years soon. So I've seen, I can't say I've seen everything, but I've seen a lot. I'm telling you this right now, that every point matters. Now you might sit there and say, Hesh, but that's why I don't want my credit pulled. If you wanna see if you qualify and you are serious about this, you've gotta get it pulled. From the right company with the right loan officer, we pull each bureau 1 single time and we are done, okay? We don't shop it around to 10 different lenders. If you see anybody out there talking about how they send it out to 20 different places, like a car loan place, for God's sakes, we don't do that. It's 1 time, hard pull, all 3 bureaus, done. That is good for 120 days, okay? So it's good for 120 days. From the time all 3 credit bureaus get pulled as a hard pull, that report that they're all sitting on is good for 120 days, or basically 4 months. In between day 1 and day 120, if it's an FHA, VA, or USDA loan, we do not re-pull your credit. For that 4-month window, we re-pull your credit 0 times. As long as we close and fund the loan within that 120-day window, we do not re-pull. On conventional loans that are being sold to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which are the largest investors on Wall Street, basically, of United States mortgages, if it's conventional, we do not re-pull your credit. However, we monitor your credit. So we hard pull all 3, day 1. The credit's good for 120 days. Inside of that 120-day window, we don't re-pull your credit, but we monitor your credit. What do we monitor it for? We monitor it, and the things that will send off bells and whistles literally are if your credit card balances increase, if anybody else pulls your credit, if a negative item is reported on your credit, or if a new account is opened on your credit. All of those things can adversely affect your debt to income ratio and the credit score. So on conventional loans, it's not that we re-pull it multiple times. We don't, but we monitor it. The biggest thing of all of this topic was how many times you pull my credit. We hard pull it once on day one. It's good for 120 days and you're done. Talk to different loan officers, have conversations with different ones. I always tell people this, you could shop my rates and fees all day long, have at it. I'll tell you what they are, they're not hard, okay? Don't shop your credit. Don't call 55 different places. I don't recommend getting your credit pulled by multiple places. When you go to the right place, it's one and done. Anyone that says they're soft pulling, I guess you don't want a specific answer or a solid answer. If you don't want a specific or a solid answer, don't even waste your time. Don't even listen to what they're saying because it's not accurate necessarily. But you got to keep watching my videos and subscribe to my YouTube page to hear more about all these other topics. And I'll catch you on the next one.